Well, hey there, it's Catherine. This is the third day of product reveals for our Adoring You Stamp of Approval collection. Today we're introducing the Happy Together stamp set. This comes in your Stamp of Approval collection along with this Adore die. I love that name. It's Adore, and we adore it. So it's the Adore die. I'll show you a little bit later, but you can trim it down and use it as a bird cage. You can use it as a door or a window. This die is one of those that is more than meets the eye, and we've got lots of great inspiration with it. We also have cookie cutter dies for the Happy Together stamp set, and you can add that onto your collection if you choose to. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp out some of these birds. So I'm using the Limoncello ink pad and Tiki torch, and I'm just doing an ink blend between the two colors. You can either blend them right on your ink pad, or you can grab an ink blending tool and just kind of buff in between just to make that line nice and blended. And then I'm using Be Mine and Coral Cabana, and I'm just going to stamp those little birds. Love this multicolored look. They are so cute. And then there is a kind of an outline detail image. So it has detail for the wings and the beak and the eyes, and we'll just stamp those in blackjack and add that on top. Next up, I'm going to work on a background piece. So I have It's a Boy ink, and I'm using my ink blending tool. In all, this took me about 2 minutes. I sped it up a bit, so it's a little under a minute, but the key here is a light hand, steady, and patience. If you go too hard and too fast, you're going to get streaks. So just a light hand blending motion, and start off your paper, go onto the layer, and you'll get a really nice blend. And then I grabbed the Love Notes background stamp, which is our first 6x6 red rubber stamp. We introduced that in one of the earlier videos in this reveal. And I'm just inking it up with It's a Boy ink, and I'm not doing a full inking. I'm kind of inking around the edges and leaving the center lighter, just like I did with that ink blending. And then I'm going to stamp it. Just lay your cardstock right on there and just give it a little rub, and you'll get this really gorgeous kind of handwritten look on your background. And then I used a pencil to mark off where I want my sentiment to go. And so I'm grabbing suede shoes and the word dream, which is from a stamp set you haven't seen yet, so stay tuned. And then you can see I stamped over a little bit too far. So I went back to the drawing board and I did another ink blended background. And this time I decided I wanted to emboss it. So I'm using my anti-static tool just to make sure that my cardstock is dry. Our ink takes a few seconds to dry, because I'm going to add embossing powder here, and I don't want it to stick to places I don't want it. So make sure it's dry, ink up your background, have your embossing powder ready, and then stamp it and quickly pour your embossing powder over the top. This is Wanderlust. It is a clear powder with a clear white glitter in it, and it just gives a really gorgeous sparkle and shine to the background. So I'm just going to use my heat tool and heat set that, and you can see that sparkle. But I'm going to use a little liquid glue, just add that to the Adore die and add that right to the front. And woo, this time I got the dream in the right place. Yay me. So just making sure that is flat. I'm going to grab my little birds. I have a little dimensional adhesive on the back of those guys. And then look, here is a peek at a card Erica made. Totally a bird cage. Seriously, so cute. So I'm just going to add this to a card front, and we're done with that card. I have another card, so I'm going to do blackjack this time. I'm going to ink that Love Note background up and just stamp my card layer. And then if you've watched our reveal videos, you saw our Sweet Home wreath stamp set. When I did that video, I stamped several of them at the same time. I did different colors. I used my Misty, and then as long as I was having it set up on my Misty, I just did a bunch of color combinations at once. I die cut them all at once, and then I have a bunch of wreaths hanging around waiting for cards to be made with them. So I'm just adhering my layer right to that other layer and then to the card base. And then I'm going to add the, I added the wreath on there already. Now I'm going to add the birds. And I have this cute little lovebird wreath on a happy anniversary card. It's pretty perfect. So we have this little flower in the stamp set, and I thought it would be a cute little accent. So I have one already die cut, and I'm going to do a little ink blending with Be Mine and Party Dress on that little flower stamp. And then I'll stamp it, and then I'm going to use Blackjack again to do the detail over the top. And then I'll just adhere that right between the two little birds. Looks totally cute. And then before I'm done, one more finishing accent. We have this little, it looks like a heart. It can also be used as a leaf, depending on the color you stamp it in. And I'm just going to stamp that in red between the birds for the lovebirds. So here is a peek at the 2 cards, and then some more from our design team. The first card was made by Karen Baker, and it's really similar to mine, which is funny because I wasn't thinking that when I made it. But then when I put them next to each other, I was like, oh, but they're both gorgeous cards and have subtle differences. The next one is by Christy Goulet, and it's another way to use that Adore die. So she cut it out twice, trimmed off the end, and just stacked them, and it looks like a really fantastic plaid. And then she has this wreath in gray with some pussy willow stamped in there, and the birds, and the congratulations, again, a set you haven't seen yet. And then she did some great work with the leaves and the branches there and those gorgeous birds. Next up is a card by Tracy Pond. I love how she did the breast on that one bird. And then another one by Alina Krause. Another bird cage kind of feel card with a great ink blend in the background. Those cards you will see on our blog hops, which start in just a couple days. We have blog hop, video hop, Instagram hop, and the collection goes on sale in the shop on January 8th for Stamp Nation members during our pre-release party, and then January 9th for everyone else. So stay tuned, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon.